Hey everyone, welcome to our Friday pop-up workshop for Friday, February 1st, start of a new month. And today I'm going to talk to you about bank accounts and give you some tips for your financial safety as a community league. So really we're talking about tools for your security. We're going to cover three areas. The first is around signing authority, how it works, why we recommend it set up the way it's set up, and how to manage that. Then we're going to talk quickly about some policy options that can help you better manage the security of your bank accounts. And finally, we're going to talk about the oversight and review role of the board, which is a main way that the board as a whole has a role in maintaining the security of bank accounts. So when we start with signing authority, the first key piece is your accounts should be a to-sign account. So that means that every check or transaction that happens through the bank account needs two people who will be signing off or approving that transaction. So there are some limitations to this. Typically on a to-sign account, you're going to have very limited options with online banking and debit cards and that sort of thing. But having two people looking over every transaction really limits the risk that something could go badly with a transaction. Second thing we look at is meeting with your bank regularly and after any changes happen. So what I mean by that is after each annual general meeting or any time you change your signing authorities, you should be going in to meet with your bank right away to make sure that those changes are in place as soon as possible. Because the last thing that we want to see is having someone who's no longer on the board being able to make transactions on your bank account. The third thing around signing authority that I like to put forward is the idea of having 3 signers on the account. So the bank will likely allow you to have as many signers on the account as you'd like, but limiting it to 3 is usually a best practice because that will allow you to have signing authorities in most situations, but to be able to keep track of those signing authorities easily. If you have 5 or 6 people that are able to sign on the bank account, it can get very confusing as to who has signed each check or who has signed for each transaction and why they did that. So that's the area of signing authority. Let's move on now to some of the policy tools that you can use to help give you maintain the safety of your bank account. So the reason that you want that policy there is it's giving everyone the same rules. So if you don't tell everyone how to behave with their bank signing, you can't expect them to behave properly. So putting it down in policy makes sure that everyone has the same written understanding. It gives instructions on what to verify or what to do when signing for a financial transaction. So if you want every person to look at a detailed invoice for an expense before they sign a check to pay for that, you need to put that in policy. And a good policy will have that instruction of what a signing authority needs to look at before they're willing to sign. And then the third piece that I'm going to talk about here is signing your checks made out to you. So it should also be in your policy that you don't allow people to sign checks that are payable to themselves. So if I'm the president of the league and I have purchased a book for the community league on my personal debit card, when I'm being reimbursed, 2 people need to sign that check other than myself. So we would get maybe the treasurer and the vice president if those are your signing authorities, or the treasurer and the secretary if those are your signing authorities. When we move into the third piece of this, we're looking at oversight and review. So every month, a review of your bank account should be done by at least 2 people. Your treasurer is typically one of those, and then someone else should look over that review. And the critical piece here is that it's done by 2 people. It's so that you have two sets of eyes looking at it, so that if there's an irregularity or something going wrong, you can see as soon as possible. The next step of this that we look at is the whole of the board. On at least a quarterly basis, so at least every 3 months, best practice would be that your board should review your finances. So that can take a lot of different forms. It can be a report that the treasurer presents. It can be a set of financial statements prepared quarterly. It's whatever makes sense for your organization, but the best practice is that you would review that at least once every 3 months. And then at least on an annual basis, your membership should be reviewing your finances. So this usually happens at the annual general meeting, where you'll present your financial statements for the year. But it can happen more often. You can provide financial reports more often if you'd like, but we would always say to do that at least once a year, and that would be contained in your bylaws as a requirement. Thanks for joining us today, and have a wonderful weekend.